I see a lot of videos online where people are making tiny stuff, like these little tiny meals.
And I
have to be honest, at first it was cute, but then it was gimmicky, and then it was kind of like, what the hell is the point of this? But I get it, you know, people like to see tiny things, they like to see giant stuff, and I had no interest ever in making anything tiny, but I'm just coming off a 5-day fast. For the past 5 days, I have literally eaten nothing at all. I've just drank water for 5 entire days. So I thought it was the perfect chance to actually make a tiny bowl of pho, my favorite soup. It's Vietnamese soup. If you don't know about it, I suggest you make a big, normal version and eat it. But when you're coming off of a fast, you really don't want to eat that much. You want to take very small portions. I started with the only thing I've had so far in 5 days is just a little bit of orange. I just had to break my fast. So I'm going to make a tiny bowl of pho because I really want pho, but I don't want to go overboard. So come on the journey with me. Come. I'm not going to get into too many details about the actual recipe for the broth because I made an amazing beginner's guide to Vietnamese video where I showed you an awesome pho, traditional. So I'm just going to show you how I kind of tinify it. But right now I'm charring ginger, I'm charring onion, and just basically I put a bunch of oxtail in here. You can use different beef bones. You really want a lot of bones. You can have a little meat in there, but beef bones are great. And these oxtails are really great because they have a lot of collagen, so they'll be like really hearty and delicious. And there's meat on them too. So I'm basically just boiling this for 20 minutes and then straining all the water out because I'm just getting all the impurities out. So when I cook it again, it's going to be really, really delicious. So now I've got all the impurities. I mean, this thing smells amazing, but you can see all that gunk and stuff. So you think you're losing flavor, but you're actually just kind of getting out all that initial stuff. So when you recook it, there's still plenty of flavor, but it's going to be a nice clear broth. That's the trick. And now I'm going to strain this and start cooking. So what I'm doing now is I've got the bones in here, and I wash them off with cold water, and I really kind of like scrub them. You can use like a brush, but I still with my hands just to get any little extra gunk off. Cleaned out the bowl, and now I'm just going to start boiling it again. I'm going to add all the aromatics, you know, this really, really charred ginger, and onion, and a bunch of spices. I'm excited! So those onions and ginger I charred, I cut them up. You want to make sure you keep the onion intact, so don't cut off like the spot, you know, where it holds itself together, otherwise it'll be kind of annoying to strain later. But I also peeled them because you want to get that outer layer of char off. There's still a lot of good flavor now they're softened. And now I'm just toasting these spices here. There's a lot of different spices they use in pho, but these are some of the typical: cinnamon, this is star anise, cardamom pods, and coriander. You can also use clove. I only have clove powder, so maybe I'll add some in, but it's okay. As long as you're getting some really good aromatics and you toast them, you don't want to burn them, but just toast them until you really start to smell all those flavors, and then you just dump them right in. Or you can put them in a little like tea bag so they don't get all in there, but these will be pretty easy to get out, so I'll probably just go straight up. Alright, my spices are in. I also added a little bit of sugar. I did palm sugar, but kind of whatever, you know, white sugar works fine. Rock sugar is what they usually use, and added a little bit of salt, like a teaspoon of salt just to get it going. But don't add too much salt now because it's going to really cook down. You can always season it later. The beautiful thing about pho is you're just making this incredibly vibrant, alive, like aromatic broth, and then you can really customize it and add whatever you like. While this thing is simmering away, I just added a couple of splashes of fish sauce, and now I'm smelling it. Oh, and what's amazing is even though it's got, you know, it's probably going to cook it for like 3 hours, even though it's got a while to go, it already smells like super aromatic and flavorful. I think probably part of that has to do with the fact that I haven't eaten in 5 days, so my senses are just super enlightened. It's crazy. I'm just really finishing up the little garnish here. Chop some chilies, put the lime, you gotta have those sides, little bean sprouts, making everything nice and small. I know it's hilarious, but sometimes smaller is better, I guess. A little bit of basil goes in there, and then we have our little side dish, which they always serve with pho. I took these rice noodles, chopped them up very, very fine, and just steeped them in some boiling water. They're really nice, like almost fresh packaged sealed rice noodles. They cook in seconds. I love using them. Then I have my tiny little bowl, which is like a little tea bowl, adding a little bit of that oxtail meat, and then the broth. The broth has been cooking for 3 hours. I had to wait 3 hours after having not eaten in 5 days to wait for this broth. I patiently waited. Add a little bit of basil and chili, and the cool thing about pho is it just, everything you put in there
because the broth is hot, it just infuses the flavor. You can add a little fish sauce, you can add a little more sugar if you want. The chilies, the basils give so much fragrance and herbal-ski deliciousness. And then I have this, I think the world's smallest bowl of pho. And look at this thing in my hand. It is literally tiny. Like, this is a huge bowl for a frickin' like mouse potentially. So I got some chopsticks, the world's smallest chopsticks to go along. It's actually some matchsticks that I chopped off the match part. I thought that would be kind of fun. And this is the first like solid thing I've eaten in 5 days. Aside from some little fresh orange juice, this is literally the first solid thing that I've eaten. And I want to just take a second to talk. First off, the flavor I can't even describe, not because it was just so good, which it is, and this is my favorite bowl of soup in the world. If you haven't had pho, you should try it, but having not eaten for so long, my senses being so attuned to just like nothingness, tasting this food was such an explosion. I savored it, and I know it seems absurd to be eating something so small, but when you haven't eaten in that long, you eat so slow, you really appreciate the food so much. So you don't have to make a tiny bowl, but it was really fun. I'm really grateful that I did it. Thank you guys for hanging. Subscribe for more.